evening and welcome to the March 4th meeting of the Tupelo Planning Committee. Please take a moment to silence your cell phones. At this time, if you would please rise for the invocation given by Bentley Nolan and the Pledge of Allegiance by Scott Davis.
Let's pray. Lord God, we come to you tonight thankful and humble and just appreciative of being here tonight, God. We thank you for the opportunity to make these decisions. We don't take them lightly. Make these decisions that will affect our city and our neighbors. Lord, we ask for your wisdom as we deliberate over these items, God. Please be with us as we go from here. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Place the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Bentley and Scott. The Tupelo Planning Committee is a volunteer group appointed by the mayor and approved by the city council. We receive no compensation for this as we do it as a community service. We spend a lot of time in our own funds studying and researching the applications and visiting the sites that are on our agenda each month. We ask that you remember that we do not take our positions on any application lightly. Our decisions are based on facts as they are presented and with regard to the regulations set forth in the Development Code. At this time, I would like to ask the staff and committee members to introduce themselves, beginning with the staff.
Jenny Savely, Tupelo City Planner.
Mark Williams. Bentley Nolan.
Lindsay Leak.
Patty Thompson
Scott Davis.
and Leslie Martin.
Leslie Martin.
Yeah.
Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes of the last meeting?
I move that we accept the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Aye.
It's unanimous. We'll now open.
Am I on speaker?
You are.
Okay.
We'll now open our regular session. Report on council actions. Ms. Savely, do you have anything to report on the council actions from our last meeting?
Yes, the text amendments that you all approved in November are on the study agenda for review by City Council. We anticipate that those will be voted on the second meeting in March. And also the council approved the Mount Vernon major subdivision at their last meeting.
Thank you. All new applications being reviewed by Planning Committee will adhere to the following order of operations for review in our session. Presentation of staff analysis by Jenny Savely, City Planner. Presentation of proposed activity by the applicant. We will open the floor for public comment. Speakers will have 5 minutes to speak. An alarm will sound to indicate time has expired. Please provide your name, residential address. We'll try where we are, since we don't have a podium. We can try if you'll speak up where you are. If not, we might bring you down here so everybody can hear. We'll close the floor for public comment. We'll have a discussion by the Planning Committee and a committee vote. Then a review of the next steps from the Department of the Development Services. We'll start with new business. Number 1, Flex Variance 2401, Walsh Road Minor Subdivision, 2916 Walsh Road, 32% variance on required lot width for subdivision of lot. Mrs. Savely, does the Planning Department have an opinion on this?
We do have an opinion. The staff is going to recommend approval of the flexible variance with the condition that enough right-of-way be provided in the frontage of the lots to allow for a future road widening of Walsh Road. And typically that is 25 feet from the center line, and we're reviewing what the exact additional footage would be for that. And also the requirement of a permanent vehicular turnaround to prevent future residents from backing onto Walsh Road. So just to you there. What this application is, and first of all, thank you all for coming tonight. We often do not have a lot of participation at these meetings, so thank you for engaging with the process and being interested in your community. This is for a subdivision of a lot. That is the intended goal. It is a lot that is a little more than 120 feet in the front along Walsh Road at 2916 Walsh Road. The owner would like to subdivide this into 2 separate lots in low-density residential zone, which is where your community is. Our typical requirement is that the front of those lots be at least 90 feet wide. To split 120 feet into 2 lots, the applicant has requested that those lots be given a variance to allow for a smaller frontage on that lot to 62 feet. And that is typically, in addition to that, we also require that lots be 1/3 of an acre. This is a shorter lot, and so splitting those into 2 62-foot lots would mean that that acreage is going to be 1/4 of an acre, just shy of that 1/3 of an acre. Now, that portion doesn't require planning committee approval. That can be done through a compatible use, which is what our department does. And so the department is holding that approval contingent on the planning committee's review of this application. And you all received letters regarding this request, or the other one, which is, you might have received 2 letters. Our applications are very close together by no plan, just fate. And so you might have gotten 2, but your property is within 500 feet of the property where the variance is being requested. So that's the conditions for approval on this one, and we invite discussion.
Thank you, Ms. Staley. Will the applicant please come forward, give us your name and address, and present your proposal?
Oh, hold on. This is actually for, this is Will Troxler's proposal. Thank you. Sorry.
Here is good?
Yeah, here is correct.
Okay. So I'm Will Troxler, Waylon Michaels, my builder partner. We have been sort of building in that Walsh, Scott Road, Thane Lane, kind of that whole Belden area for the last 4 years. And basically just doing infill and trying to fit a need that we see in the market for nice single-family homes, but that are in a more affordable price range. And so on this particular lot, we had hoped to acquire some additional land behind this property, but we have not been successful. And so we decided that the best use for what we're trying to accomplish would be to subdivide that lot and continue the work. We've built, I'm sure y'all are all familiar with on Walsh Road, there's 4 new construction homes there where Thane Lane intersects. Those are some of the homes we've done. We've done several on Timber Lane Road. So it would be homes comparable to those that have been built.
All right. Any questions for the applicant?
Do you have anything, Leslie?
I have a question.
We'll start the public portion in just a moment. This is just with the proposal. Thank you.
Can you hear okay? Are you still there?
As far as the public portion, as I say, stand where you are and address your comments to the committee as opposed to the proposal by the developer. And as I say, if you will, give us your name and address and your question or concern. We can go ahead and start.
Yes, sir.
I'm being Bradley, P.O. Box, 139 Baylor, Mississippi. And I want to know how much land they are asking for the ease to go through there. How much total property asking
For the easement?
for the easement? But would it be for each house have to have an easement or just one easement to go in?
No, what were, if I may, Chairperson, sorry. So this is one of those future plans the city has to widen Walsh Road. We have not begun asking for easements, but because this is a flexible variance and requires committee approval, we have the ability to ask for a little bit more. And with that future thought, because that is such a narrow road and ditch served, we're asking for that on these properties, just on the front end, but we have not begun asking for easements on the rest of Walsh Road and do not have an exact number of what that footage would be.
But there will come a time you ask for more land for easement to go through.
That is, the widening of Walsh Road is in the future plan. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Bradley. Yes, yes, ma'am.
You was talking about, you know.
Name and address, please, ma'am.
Oh, my name is Melba Bradley, and my address is 3014 Countrywood Road, but my property is over there on Wash Road, off of Wash Road. Okay, you was talking about widening Wash Road. Why, if you're talking about widening it in the future, well, why did they build those 4 houses right there at the road? I mean, they don't have very much turnaround. Are you talking about taking land from over on the side where the houses are built? Or are you talking about taking land over on the side that the houses is not built?
So we do not currently have, it would require an engineering plan to work with property lines and with existing structures and with property owners to kind of negotiate what that looks like in the future. That is something that we have not even gotten to the engineering. It has been a request from the community there for a long time to make that road safer because it doesn't have a shoulder right now. And so the consideration is coming out of the desire that we've heard from the community to look at widening that road a little bit to make it safer. I will say that that is, Councilperson Mims is y'all's councilman. And so the general request, I think, is because he has heard from the community to put that on the city's capital plan. But to answer your question, we have not begun the engineering for me to even to know how to answer your question at this point. But we work with property lines and the land and what's required where for that, again, distant future work.
Okay? But I still don't understand why they would build the houses so close to the street if you know,
Yeah,
in the future, you talking about widening the road. Well, are you gonna widen it on both sides or one side, you know?
That's right. So some of those builds began before we, really got to this step of having that on the city's future plan. And what that would look like is having to work with those property owners, and what we would begin doing is future builds from now on, letting them know that that is a plan for the future and that they need to consider where they're building on the property. So those just kind of got ahead of us.
And they advocated when they built that house right in front of the stop sign, because they're gonna come over that hill and somebody gonna go straight into their house. That's all, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bradley.
My name is Geraldine Brinkley, and
Oh.
I live
Could you stand, please? Or, oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you.
And I live at 2895 Wash Road in Belgium, Mississippi. And I did catch the front end. Which one of these properties are you all addressing right now? Is it the Fane Lane or Wash Road?
Walsh Road, 2916 Walsh
Okay,
Road.
that's straight in front of me.
Okay.
Okay, so when you talk about building a subdivision, how many houses are you talking about putting there? And
Oh, my apologies, that I'm using a different one. So not a subdivision of multiple houses, just taking one lot and dividing it into two. No more than two.
so you just put it two houses, just like the two houses that was just recently built?
I'm not gonna say just like this, but just two houses.
Okay,
Yes,
two
ma'am.
houses that were recently built.
Right.
So these are houses that you're selling and not rent, gonna make rental property, right?
I will defer to the applicant.
Yes, they'll be for sale.
Okay. Okay, so that's what we wanted to know.
Thank you, Mr. Yes, sir.
My name's Talvin Grice. I'm 2953 Walsh Road building. And they talking about putting two houses on that, don't just put one big house. I got a 2,800 square foot house. I don't want no smaller. I think it would deplete my taxes. I'm already paying taxes out there. So you put a smaller house, make my house, look, I ain't gonna say less desirable, but these guys here, they got 2,600. You don't want no little bitty house. The other house, they older house, they been there, they government, but our house just about almost up the park. You know, they new, they looking good, and we don't want, I ain't got, they go somewhere else and build up. They put one big house there, match our house, it'll make our property look, but putting two little ones in, acre ain't big for two houses. And folks who buy them ain't got no yard, ain't got no nothing. When you come riding that road, you can take it 5-10 feet on each side of that road. You tear my driveway up, you tear his driveway up. They new driveway, they new concrete up. So just build one nice house, sell it, instead of building two little bit of them. But they ain't got nothing against the two houses down the street, but these two right gonna be across the street from me. I built my house, the other house was there before I got there. So why do I want to put two little bit of, they gonna draw, I ain't gonna say the wrong crowd, but they gonna be up to the park, man. Cause anybody can move in it. You buy my house valued at $300,000, you put a $30,000 house beside it, and then the people that can afford $30,000 coming. And they making, I ain't say making me look, I ain't got nothing against people that buy a small house, rent or whatever. Just don't deplete what we doing. Don't make our property go down, property back. For long, you're gonna have them little shotgun houses all around the community. Cause he said they building them here and there, everywhere. So why not build one nice house, counter match ours, like they do in the other big subdivision? Then that'll increase our value and everything. Then everybody win-win situation. You can afford the house, buy it. But put two little narrow houses together, no yard, no backyard, driveway ain't here to me and you, one car, no, it ain't. Not in that community. Now when you go out somewhere, they got the room to do it. Yeah, but around two houses in that community, no, I don't see it.
Thank you. Just as a point of clarification, for the developers, could you tell us, do you have an idea of the price that will be asked for the properties?
So, everything that we've built over there to this point has been between 200 and, well, we started it was 200,000, but as prices have gone up for materials and labor, I would say our average price is around 250,000 for the homes that we're building. Those particular on that lot would probably be somewhere around 235.
Okay, I just wanted a point of clarification, just since prices were
Around
talking
$175
about.
to $180. So,
So,
in terms of property value, I feel like we're going to be hoping to bring everybody's value up in the area, regardless of the size of the house. When you look at it from a per square foot standpoint, we feel like we're doing
Gentlemen, if you would, that was just a point of clarification I needed, so let's, if you would address the committee and, I'm not sure if he brought that up, did he say proposed square footage when he was presenting? Yeah, I think we can ask him that. Yeah, he does.
Sir, if I may ask, and apologies to everybody for running late, what is the proposed square footage of the 2 homes that you propose to put on that lot?
They're going to be somewhere between 13 and 1,500 square feet. We're trying to stay in that range because that's consistent with everything else that's built up there.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Did you say, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that. What was the square footage of the homes?
Leslie, 1,300 to 1,500 square feet. Price point, $235K to $250K.
Okay, we'll get back to public comments, whoever wants to speak next.
I'd like to address the question to the builders right here.
Sir.
Judge? Yeah, if you,
Thomas Gardner, I have a piece of property there that just barely touches the 500 feet. Are these the same things that are built at the stop sign right down at the end of the road?
It will be a similar, it won't be the exact floor plan, but it would be of similar construction and or what you see along Timberlane Road as well.
Same square footage?
Very similar square footage.
I've talked to some of these people here. I don't know any of them well. I know 1 or 2 of them by name, but I hadn't talked to anybody here that's in favor of this. They've got their house, their property, and they don't want them there. These are not real spacious houses, and I'm not critical of that. Somebody's got to live somewhere. But you know, and I know, that what will come about will be transient renters, whatever, I don't know. But you're going to affect the value of that man's house and that woman's house. I'm peripheral to this. I'm barely within the 500 feet. But I can tell you, I don't want them in the neighborhood either. They're going all over town, and you guys have to approve these things before they happen. If you just ride around town, it's a beautiful city, and it's got a lot of little bitty houses in there. That's not right to the people who have adjoining property. I don't care how if you think we need some rental houses, let them go out here and buy a big tract and build some. But to go into a neighborhood and put these things in there is just flat not right. This is for profit for those people, not for those people. That's all it is. They want you to make 3 lots out of 2. You didn't do that for me when I bought some property over there. If you can do it, that's fine. But this is not right. Let these people come in here and they can go buy property. There is property for sale, but that out there didn't bring much, I don't figure. And I think you'd be doing a disservice to the city of Tupelo to continue what you're doing. And I'm not representing these people, by the way. I talked with a couple of them since I've been here, and that's it. It probably won't affect me a whole lot where I am. I've got some pasture land right up the road there. But I don't know why you think you're under any obligation to do this. I get the idea from something you said. Have you already decided you're going to recommend this?
The committee makes decisions separate.
Well, you can speak for them. Has it been approved?
No.
Are you going to recommend that it be approved? Have you made your mind up about that?
That's what we're here to
Well, I assume that to be so, but if you'd already made up your mind, I was gonna make it easy for you.
Thank you, Judge. Is there anybody else that would like to speak for or against? Yes, sir.
Dr. Williams, Law, 2052 East Moreland, Collierville, Tennessee. I own 6 acres at the corner of Coleman Circle and Walsh Road. And I'm using it as a future retiree. And you come back home and retire in that property area. And I'm certain that whatever I build will be a substantial amount of money, in terms of housing. And I'm along the lines with these gentlemen who have nice homes, who have large homes, and we really want to improve the Bel area. I grew up in that area, and I want to come home to something that would be beneficial to me and my kids, my grandkids, and so I oppose this as well, just like this gentleman was saying in regards to that. I don't have no dog to hunt now. I live in the Memphis area, but I'm probably a few years from retirement, and I know Tupelo is home. I'm born and raised here, and that's what I tend to do, is come back home. And that property was purchased about 20 years ago, and I purchased with the intent of coming back home and retiring one day. If not, it's for my sons, if they want to come back home to Tupelo. So I'm strongly opposed to this, and I understand development, and I'm an independent contractor myself, so I understand what these gentlemen are doing. It's business. But we're talking about a neighborhood, probably one of the oldest neighborhoods in Lee County. And these people have been here 50, 60, almost 70 years living in this area, and we don't want this. I talked to my mother and father who lives at 4768 Coleman Circle. My parents do live on Coleman Circle. And so we vividly opposed to this, and I think it's just an eyesore to allow profitability to take place over the livelihoods of people who grew up a child, who was born in the Bel area, like I said, 50, 60 years ago. So I wish this committee really would take this back to the table and reconsider and not recommend tonight. Take it back and put it back on the table and really look at this and have interaction with many of us. I'll be willing to give you my telephone number and contact information. Appreciate everyone else will be willing to talk to you one-on-one. So that's my take on it, and I really appreciate the effort that the committee is doing. You're doing an outstanding job, I assume, but in this case, I think this is the wrong way to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak for or against? All right, we'll close the public portion, and now we'll go into committee.
You are talking just Walsh.
Yes, sir. Yes, this is just Walsh. We'll consider the second variance after this.
Do you have any questions, Leslie?
So, are these properties going to be rentals, or are they going to be owner occupied?
He said they would be owner occupied.
They'll be owner occupied, but there's no restriction on the owner being able to then lease it.
No restriction on the owners being able to do what they want to with them.
It cannot be placed as a condition, question to the city, for the approval.
I don't
Can the
I don't
approval
think
be?
that
I don't think the
we
city
can,
can restrict you as to not rent. I think
Right.
that's come up before.
right.
I don't think we have now, covenants can. But I think it came up maybe in one of the overlay districts one time that the city could not tell someone who bought the house that you cannot rent this house out.
Understood. So to the that could be a condition on the developer, cannot be a subsequent condition on the purchaser for
The
value.
developer can have the covenants, but the city cannot. That was my understanding. It's come up.
It can be a deed restriction, but it can't be a requirement of the city.
Understood.
And it looks like most of the properties out there have larger homes on that. Am I correct?
Yes, you are correct. One of the homeowners stated that his home, I believe he said was 3,000 square foot.
2,800.
2,800 square foot.
It seems like it's not only larger homes, larger lots and larger homes.
Exactly.
Seems to be the majority. I was looking at some aerial photos of that area, and there's more larger homes and lots than not. And which seems to be why it was zoned low density, is because of that. And it kind of just goes back to our Enville Road discussion from a few months ago, is that trying to change what a neighborhood is already, the substance of the neighborhood is larger lots, larger homes, and then trying to go in and change that is quite difficult. And we struggled with that a few months ago. It's tough for me to see wanting a 32 or 33% variance seems kind of high, and especially considering with what we've heard from the audience so far.
The Enville Road project that had come up some months before, and there was a tremendous amount of community involvement in that situation, fell in that area, sort of the transition from the commercial corridor to the low-density residential, right around the railroad tracks, as I remember. Where are we in proximity to that in this situation? We're further in.
There's no adjacent current zoning district that we're close to. The only comparable things that have happened, there have been a few subdivisions southeast of there by miles as the crow flies that have been permitted variances on frontage.
I guess my comment to that would have been more like you're trying to take low density and make it medium density.
No, understood.
You get it.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to find, because
we are further away from.
I think I was the only member of the committee at that time to vote in favor of that project, based on where it was located. But we're talking about moving further in.
Yeah, further out into the country, but it's similar in that you're wanting to make this variance would be more of a medium density type use as opposed to low density, and that goes back to the changing the makeup of the neighborhood.
If I could ask this question of the city, where does this area fall with respect to the 2025 plan?
This is an interesting area, primarily because it is one of our only communities that does not have flood zone in it, and has a large amount of vacant parcels. I will say a lot of the vacancy is because the parcels are, I would say about 40% of them are very deep rather than wide, or narrow on their frontage, but go back deeply. So this is a neighborhood that really what the comprehensive plan is thinking of is how do we narrow some of the frontage but retain the acreage to allow for the larger homes still, but still more development of those deeper vacant areas.
Along that same lines, but Jenny, on the Walsh Road extension or expansion, or the major thoroughfare, do we know that, is that 12 months out, 24, undetermined out?
Undetermined.
So we could be approving smaller homes, and then also if the city has to take property, it even compresses it a little bit more.
And that's why the ask is on this one to go ahead and have that easement expanded the right of way so that they're not too close.
Long term, I take it the 2025 plan envisions less HDR, high density, or low density residential and moving towards a more mixed?
It would be more mixed, yeah. Right now, how our zoning is very large areas of a single zone. I mean, you look at 50 square miles almost sometimes of low-density residential. And so it would be strategic mixing of the zones for the comprehensive plan, but retaining where there are strongholds of low-density development already.
Jenny, what could they do without the variance? I mean, what could they just technically put on the property?
The property's 120 feet across the front, and it is a half an acre total on it. So reasonably, I mean, low-density residential doesn't allow for much in the way of commercial development, but single-family residential with like an accessory dwelling would be that is the zoned kind of ideal use.
So they could just put one large house.
Or they could put one small house, you know?
That's what I was
the thing,
getting
you
at.
know?
But you would have a half-acre lot.
That's
Instead
right.
of 2/4 acre lots.
That's right.
And that's what's existing, so you can't make the lot that's already there bigger, but you can not make it smaller.
So I'm looking at the Lee parcel viewer, and even the newer subdivisions that have been developed back through that area, none of those properties are that small. Down to the 51 feet or whatever it is that we're trying to go down to. So these two lots, if approved, would be the smallest on the frontage.
Jenny, did you want to address that?
Yeah, but I really no comments to make except she's correct. She's correct, it would be the smallest in the immediate vicinity.
That I've made, yeah.
I mean, Lindsay, based on what I'm hearing and what I'm saying, it's gonna be hard for me to go along with approving, the plan as presented.
Do we have any more discussion or a motion?
I do have a question. I just want to make sure I understand. If the lot size were 2/3 of an acre, meeting the .33 requirement, then the two houses could be built. The issue is that the property is approximately, what, .51, .5, half acre, requiring a variance from .33 to .25 that brings it to us.
No, what brings it to you guys is the lot frontage, the literal width of the lot, and not being able to achieve 290 feet. He's proposed 261.5 feet width lots, which would require a variance from the acreage also, but not by flexibility.
Okay, so I'm looking at the 25% variance to lot size.
You're looking at that lot size, and I put that in there so you guys know that we would only do that if you all approved the flexible variance.
Understood. The variance is predominantly
The width.
for the width of
Correct.
the two properties.
So whereas they had 120 plus, now they want to go down to 61 feet per, which would be the smallest in all of that area.
Got it, Leslie, thank you.
Yep. And so if we do not approve the variance to split that lot in half for 61 foot for each property frontage, then we don't even move on to the next one. Is that correct, Jenny?
We wouldn't then even deal with the compatible variance, correct?
Okay. So where are we at right now? Are we like looking at not approving this?
I think there was a motion on the floor.
We're waiting on it.
Oh, we are.
Are we through the discussion? but I'll move that we deny the variance.
Second.
I'll second that we do not approve the variance.
We have a second and a motion to not approve it. All in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand.
My hand's raised.
Okay, all right, no against,
With regrets.
with regrets. Ms. Ayler, will you talk about the next steps?
Sure, anyone who objects to the decision tonight, including the applicant, can appeal this decision to the city council by submitting a letter within 3 days to me. Thank you all. And for those of you, if you would like to leave if you were just here for the Walsh Road project, but the Fane Lane is also disapproved.
Jenny, I may have misunderstood, but it's the second flex variance. We go ahead and discuss
Yes,
that? Okay.
yes. Yeah, completely different application.
Okay, all right.
Just close by.
I'm sorry, I did not get clear, okay, disapproved, so, it's up on the developer to go send a letter or something like that? Or?
So if the developer chooses to appeal the decision to city council, he can do that within 3 days of this decision. And at that point, the appeal will go to city council, but we will send notification letters to you all again if that appeal occurs.
I have one question. I'd like for this to be made part of whatever record might come out of this. Does the committee have, or have you had, any kind of study made of current changes, usages and so forth? Or is this strictly just on the basis of your view of what ought to happen?
We see every application that comes before us. So if a property owner wants to make an application, we always consider it.
But do I understand, I'm not trying to give you the answers, but do I understand you have no study done by any professional somebody?
Sure. We study housing in the city and nationally regularly to understand the market. So yes, we do. And that study is read by this group.
Organization.
Pardon?
Well, that's within the organization, the
We
planning commission or whatever.
We also use consultants.
Okay. But no other. That's all.
Okay, we'll move to our second item, flex variance 2402, subdivide 2 parcels, requesting a 32% variance on required lot width of 90 feet in the low-density residential zoning. Ms. Sabley, does the planning department have an opinion on this?
Sure. While these applications and proposals are very different on very different parcels, the same recommendation for approval with the right-of-way easement and permanent turnaround is recommended. But this is a different application. Would you like me to go ahead? Sure. Okay. So as I spoke of earlier, this is a more narrow lot, but is very deep. This is actually 2 parcels that the applicant has applied for. Both parcels are more than 2.5 acres each, but the frontage on that road is also small. It is a very strange lot. Again, y'all know your property, so this is deep. Goes back more than 500 feet from the road to allow for that acreage. The request here is to also put 2 lot parcels onto what is currently 1 parcel for both parcels. So this applies to 2. It would end up being 4 parcels total, with frontage that would be 61.25 frontage, but would not change the requirements on acreage. That property would still have more than 1/3 of an acre, which is what the minimum requirement for the low-density residential zone is. And the requirements are the same of the committee to review this in the same manner. It's also a 32% variance. There's no additional variance required on the acreage here. More than a third of an acre is available on each proposed parcel. It is just a very odd shaped lot. It almost looks like the Game of Life. It's like it's two parcels that V out, are very narrow at the front, widen at the back, and both have kind of legs there that flag lot off. And yeah, that's right. It's very like a gas pump.
Okay. If the applicant would please come forward, give your name and address, and present your proposal.
Hi, my name is Gilberto Flores Benza, and I'm trying to do what he is saying, or she said. To me, it's a nice area right there. Then it start growing, and I know it's hard for everybody to start seeing the things start changing around, right? But what I'm trying to do there is just try to build something for people that can live there. And it's a nice area, quiet area, and I think everybody can have something beneficial, because if you start having new houses there, then that means the city is gonna put money on the roads. So the city is gonna start taking care of things with the roads. And plus, what I was thinking, what you hear, even if I do it or not, like from the road to your house is like 5 feet of where they run the utilities, like gas, electricity, the sewer, all this stuff go on the side. So if they say, okay, let's take 5 feet from this side and 5 feet from the other side, they're really not taking away 10 feet from your property. And anyways, if something happened, let's say a broken pipe, if something happened there, they're gonna have to go by your yard, break it, and fix it anyways. So anyways, like I say, if it's just 10 feet, it's not gonna be just like they taking away from me. It's like right there where the lot is, my flags, like they way back over here. And the road is like somewhere over here. So if they do the road, they asking me for 10 feet. So I'm thinking like, okay, my flag is right there. So my flag from the road is gonna be about 30, 40 feet from the center of the road, the sister road. And well, where I'm at is not a lot of houses there. So anyways, it's gonna be my houses, one little house, and I guess 2 more houses on this side. I don't know if it's like, I know you guys live on Walsh, and this is on Fane. So I guess it's a different street. But when you build houses, the value of your house, even if it's a 2,800 square feet house, with the time your house go down. But if you around where they building, your house come up again, and you can sell your house for money if you want to, or you can keep it. But it's just like house value go up, it's not gonna go down, and it's a good thing for everybody too. So it's just things that we have to understand sometimes, and sometimes we have to let happen, or we may not. It just depends the way how we think. But I think everybody deserves a place to live and stay, and I know everybody respect everybody's opinions about what they saying, and I'm agree with. I mean, if you've been living on peace all these years, you try to keep it that way. But if he, let's say that guy, so I build a house there, we're not gonna try to build a piece of junk. We're gonna try to build something nice to sell it, like he said, probably 30, 40, 240 or 250 or whatever. So not everybody can build, not everybody can buy a house at that price with those interest rates. So I've been seeing doctors, I've been seeing people that go to the school buying those type of houses. Why? Because they cannot afford $1 million house right now. So it's just things that we have to think about it when we continue with all this meeting. That's all I want to say.
Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah.
What's the proposed square footage?
Between 1,400, 1,500 square feet, at most 1,600, and
And the price point would be?
about around what the gentleman said, 245, 250. Plus, it's a good area because see, he said 180 is the square feet. The price on the houses right now, if you came to Tupelo, it's different because on Tupelo is you can find houses for 170, 175, and they bump it up over there. So that means the value of your house gonna bump it up more than living on Tupelo. And you, not on the city, you on, let's say, like on the country. So it's just things that you can think about it, you know.
How far back from the road did you say you built?
I was telling her that I was gonna give 90 feet back, and I wanna have, well, now it's gonna be 100 feet back, and then whatever I have left, I may build 1 or 2 houses later on the other side. But I don't know yet how big the house gonna be, maybe a 2,500 or 2,800, or maybe the same size as the other houses. Mm-hmm.
4 lots, 4 houses, 4 sale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure, yeah. Yeah.
And then you can still, there's still lanes to develop the back part of those lots that now is accessible off of Walsh.
That proposal's not on the table.
Yeah, it's not on
It's just, we're considering that that's just undeveloped.
Oh, you mean the
back
lots,
side.
right, we're,
I mean, once we do this in the future, we can divide those even further.
Oh, he could only do, only for parcels that would front Walsh or Bain. And only one could front Walsh, based on how weird that parcel is. So it wouldn't apply to a subdivision, Leslie, if that happened in the back. That would be a completely different consideration.
for clarification, there's common ownership of the parcels on the back side of the lots that we're considering now?
Correct, so Mr. Flores owns both of those parcels. What he would do is divide out 4 parcels along that frontage and retain the back acreage that would then kind of have that front onto Walsh.
Understood.
Any further questions from the applicant?
And just to clarify, I think I forgot the address. This is an unaddressed parcel, but it is 1 parcel west of the corner of Bain and Walsh Road. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We'll now open the public portion of the meeting. If anyone would like to speak for or against it, if you would give us your name and address.
Geraldine Brinkley, 2895 Wash Road, close to Fanning Road. And the question at hand, he said he's building 4 houses in this spot. Now, this spot is running up to the back of my property. And so, as looking at the property that you all have purchased, putting 4 houses there, it means you're gonna take them back further, which is, far as I'm concerned, it's just too many houses, even on that spot, because it's still not that big. If you put 2 houses, small, and then you're gonna put the 2 houses behind, the 2 houses in front. So that means you're gonna take a road down the center, which I just think it's just too many houses compared to the houses, the way the houses is over there. I don't think none of us have a problem with them building a house over there. But if you build a house over there, just replace it with the ones that has been already demolished, or where the people had brought. They didn't have 2 and 3 houses on the land because it backed up to somebody else's land. And I really don't want, well, the way my property and Tavis and the rest of we got like an acre, well, I got like 3 acres, 3 to 4 acres, and we own almost an acre of land, and it's just, I think it's just gonna be too congested with 4 houses on one property. That's in my opinion, and I know people need somewhere to live, but why is it that we just can't keep our neighborhood, I guess I want to say in like a sequence, like our houses already are, instead of putting 4 or 5 on one little lot. That's all.
Yes. My name's Philip Reynolds. I'm 5067 Fan Lane. I'm actually adjacent from where he's wanting to split the front on Fan. His property is just a little bit wider than mine. So I take up almost the full area across. I just don't see how you can split that. With knowing how the neighborhood is, it's all set up, everybody's at about 170 feet. Why? And, you know, depth is another story. But why would somebody want to do that? I mean, and from when I received this, I just found out. Now, I have 4 houses that are going in on the corner of Fan and Walsh. So I'm going to have 4 backing up to my property, and now they're wanting to split what's in front of me? That's ridiculous. If I would have known this 10 years ago, I would have bought it from the original owner. I didn't know this. I had no idea that they would have split it down like this. And it kind of hurts my feelings. So, and I mean, I moved there because it was quiet. It's not going to be quiet anymore. I do everything. If you go drive by, look at my yard. I try to make things nice and quiet and peaceful. It's not going to be that. I mean, it's already going to be bad enough on the 4. Now you want to do it across from me? So now I got 6 or 8? That's not right. Not right at all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else to speak for or against?
I would just like to mention something, again, I know, I need to state my name, correct?
Yes, please.
Okay, Will Troxler, 605 County Road 251, South Road, but because we own property there on Wall Road. I know, anytime an area starts being changed or redeveloped or whatever, there's always going to be pushback, especially from the residents that have lived there for a long time. Of course, we try to be very conscious of that, which is why we're trying to make sure that the product that we're building is of a very high quality. I mean, we're putting quartz countertops in these and tile surrounds and showers and stainless steel appliances. So we're trying to make some very nice homes. I think there's, anytime there's change, when you've lived somewhere a long time, I think there's always some trepidation. But I can assure you that at least what we're doing, I can't speak for the other gentlemen, but I know the quality product that we're offering is something that is really neat. Affordable housing is a major issue in our community and in the country. And we're just trying to fit that niche. The challenge that we have as builders and developers is you can't go in and build, I don't care what the density, low density, medium density, high density, whatever it is, you cannot go in to an area and build affordable, which it's crazy to say, but now I feel like the affordable price range for our community is probably 300,000 and less. I think our median home price is somewhere around 220,000 in Tupelo and the surrounding areas. So it's a massive challenge. You cannot go in and build a development where you can build this type of housing. So what we're having to do is try to find these lots that are available where there's some infrastructure already in place and try to build these to hit this need in the community, because nobody else is doing it because it's prohibitive. If you start from scratch to do a development, you can't have $40,000 or $50,000 in a quarter-acre lot and build a 1,500 square foot house, which most young, I know when I started out in college, my first job, I couldn't have bought a $150,000 house, much less a $250,000 house. So, you know, we feel like what we're doing, ultimately, you know, rising tide is lifting all ships. So as home prices continue to climb and values continue to climb, this is not going to be a detriment to your community. I think it's going to be an asset in the long run, especially with the expansion or potential widening of Walsh Road. I think that's going to, one, make it a lot safer through there, but I also think it's going to make the community even more attractive. But to speak to the gentleman who have concern about, you know, having a larger home in that community, I would argue it's a pretty wide mix. Our lot on Walsh Road, the house just to the north of ours, on the corner of, it's almost on the corner of Coleman and Walsh, is probably 900 square feet. Most of the homes on Coleman Road and some of those feeder streets are 1,500 square feet. Now you get on Fane and you might be, you know, 1,600, 1,800, 2,000 square feet. But I would say in general, it's a good mix, which I think is what you need in a healthy community. You don't need all 2,000 and 3,000 square foot homes. You don't need all 1,000 square foot homes. But I think what we're trying to accomplish is to meet a need in the market and try to keep the price point as affordable as possible. As I mentioned before, when we first started building these, we were able to sell them for about $200,000. I wish we could still do that, but costs have prohibited that. So now, you know, it's $250,000 for this house. But there still seems to be a real need in our community for this size housing, and it's just not possible really at this point to do that by going out and doing a development from scratch. So.
Thank you. Yes.
It's not the concern of the houses, it's the size of the lots. I mean, we try to keep the distance in between us. Nobody wants everybody up on top of us. I mean, that's all it is. I mean, because you look at it, you go down the road, you do not see people on top of each other.
Anyone else to speak for or against? Yes, sir.
Yeah, he talked about the smaller houses that's there, but like you said, they've been in them 70, 80 years. But you start from scratch, people start from scratch building a nice house. Like he said, he gonna build 4 houses. Why don't he put 2 nice houses on the lot? 1 nice, they'll sell. I see houses selling, these big houses going up, left and right. No, what are you getting the money from? So they want to put 4, that's 8 families finna move. They'll move right there in there. 8 families, they got 3 or 4 people apiece in the house. They go, so make one big nice house. It look like a house, got the yard, got them 4 houses. They've been there for years, you know. Lord bless them, one day they gonna be pushed down. We got all these little shotgun houses, and that's what we know, the whole community gonna be shotgun housing. I ain't got nothing against them. But they don't, you won't put no 18 foot square foot house up against no, 2,800 house. You got a new house, you gonna put 1,800 beside it, new. Ain't none of y'all, I ain't know where you stay, but I bet ain't none of one of y'all got no 1,800 square foot house beside your house. How big your house?
Mine's small.
See that? I said 18, I'm saying 23,000 feet.
But then again, I like small houses.
Yeah.
I like living in a neighborhood with a lot.
But I'm saying, you know, You gonna start from scratch? Start with a nice house. Don't start with the. Yes.
I just hear, like, do you say about the land, probably because you like to mow the yard or you like to be outside?
Yeah, and there's a lot of people like mow the yard.
But like you, it's a lot of people that doesn't.
Let's not get in conversation with each other. When he's through with your comments, if you want to address, you go, is there anything else?
You're in the house, you're gonna be in that lot right there. 2 nice houses sit right there. Nice, good looking house. You ain't gotta go back there to the woods. When they get ready to expand the road, you build a new house, and they gonna take on new property up to widen the road. And then driveway probably won't be one car to get in there. So why not build one nice house, with front yard, nice driveway, fill around? You put them small houses in there, everybody put a fence up, so you know it, they can't go out the door. Cause it ain't good. I like my kids to grow up in spaces there, but they got kids, they can't even play. They got to get in the road and play. They ain't got nowhere to go. In my yard, they won't come to my yard. I got 3 acres before you can go play in. But the small house, they don't, not in that community. I ain't saying you gonna build a bunch of them out in the field somewhere, 100 acres, yeah, that's good. But bring all of them into our neighborhood. Build a nice one. Build one nice or 2 nice houses. I ain't saying like our houses, but they almost like, comparable with ours. So then the next company that's gonna buy some land, but if he put them 2 small houses, then the next company buy some land, he gonna put 4, 5 nice houses, cause they let them do it. So you can't stop that from doing it. So if you stop it now, and stop.
All of a sudden, Pierre Free, all of a sudden, Walsh Road is a hot commodity all of a sudden. Why? It's been quiet, peaceful, wooded. Now houses are just popping up all around us.
Exactly.
We can't get internet, fiber internet on that road, but yet you throw a house up. We can't get speed bumps on the road, but you throw a house up. We can't get there's a dip where the drainage is busted in. Can't get that fixed, but you want to put a house up. So all of a sudden, why is Walsh Road a hot commodity?
And I've got something to say. Thank you. My name is Vivian McKinney-Young. And as the little blue strip like that, right there, it comes right in front of my house. And I don't know if that's going to be supposed to be a street, but I don't want it right in my face, right in my house, right there.
Well, what I'm saying to do right now, later on, maybe this is gonna be a driveway to get into the back.
But that's what I'm saying. That means that's traffic right there in my door. I don't like that, and I don't want that. Like they said, we have a quiet neighborhood, and we want to keep it that way. Now, I might have a little house, but I have land. I have land. I have 6 acres going behind my house. And I don't want no street right in front of my door. And I want our neighborhood to stay quiet and peaceful, because that's something we don't get. Now, you can go to Wendover, you're not going to find that. But when you come to our street, like he says, a hot commodity. And why should we want that? Why would we want that? Because we do have a decent, quiet neighborhood, and we want to keep it that way. And yes, the majority of us is a black neighborhood. The majority, yes it is. And we haven't had people running around up and down through shooting and carrying on. And I don't want it, because I'm getting older. I want a peaceful, quiet neighborhood. And I don't want houses stacked on top of me, yes. If that's a driveway, that's right in front of my house, and I don't want that. And that's why I disagree.
Is there anyone else to speak for or against the proposal?
Mr. Lee, Thomas Gardner again. I thought everything I said appreciate their property. You want to interfere with their enjoyment of their property. We got fresh air out there. We don't need any more people. And you don't need small jamming them up. That's not right. This man, he's got a good sense of right and wrong, I think. And you do too. You were raised right, I know.
Any other for or against public comment?
My name is Mel Bradley, and yes, I live on Countrywood Road, but my property is over there. This is my sister, Vivian. And no, I don't want it either, because in the long run, when we leave here, we're old. And when we leave here, we got children, and we can give our land like our mother gave it to us. We can give them somewhere to lay their head, build them a house, and lay their heads without having to go and pay rent for another house. They can build their own house on our land, which is already paid for. And no, we don't want anybody else out there in the front of our door. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Brad.
I also wanted to add to it, just so you understand, I have a deeper parcel or a deeper area. I leave that for wildlife. I don't utilize it, I don't cut it. I want them to go through and keep going. Where are they going to go?
Is there anybody else that wants to speak for or against the proposal? All right, we'll move into committee session.
I think you got to separate, you can build whatever house you want to, however big or small, but it's about the lot size. And the lot size just doesn't fit with what's around there. And if you take what he was wanting to do, if he still wants to divide it this way, but leave those as 2 lots instead of 4. If you don't want the depth, I understand. But, you know, everyone in here has 2, 3, 5, 6 acre lots. And I put myself in that position. If I'm, you know, living on the land, whether I bought it or inherited it or whatever, and I've got 3 or 4 acres, I certainly don't want to have 1/4 acre lots lined up with houses across them. Now, you can have 1/2 acre, 3/4 with a house that's existing, fine. But that's just changing the character of the neighborhood. And we're not talking about the quality of the house. You know, I'm sure everyone here builds fine houses, but it's about the lot size to me, and it just doesn't fit. I'm just the same with the other one. It's just too small.
Question for the city.
Exactly. Looking at the Lee parcel viewer, all of the lots over there are much bigger frontage road. So it's ridiculous to think that something that is going to be 51 feet for 4 lots will fit in this area. It just does not fit. Doesn't fit. They could use a few other things, have access, leave the 2 lots there, the right size, access off of Welsh Road, and be able to develop the backside of those lots. I am absolutely not in favor of subdividing those into 4 lots.
Question. Do the lots meet the acreage requirements for low-density residential?
They do. The minimum acreage is 0.33 acres, and that is allowed without variance. And they will meet those. This is just strictly lot frontage.
That's the only reason it's before this committee?
Correct.
So that if anyone lived out there and owned 3 acres, they could break it up conceivably into 6 home spots?
Correct.
And not have to ask the city for anything?
If they had the appropriate frontage, right?
So and that's what I'm saying, that's what it goes back to, is, you know, lining up these houses at such a small amount of frontage is out of character with what's there.
Would 3 lots meet the frontage requirement without a need for a variance.
Yes. Well, no, you'd have to do 90 feet in the front. Sorry, it would be short some.
So
It's about 120 acre, or 120 feet on the front.
120 front, so divided by 340 per, and it has to be 90 per for LDR. Gotcha. How is it only at 32%? Because if 40 feet is all you get per lot, if you divide it into
No,
three.
it's 125 divided into two. We've got
Gotcha.
225.
We got two 125.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. Yes, that's, so no, dividing into third would still be, dividing the entire 250 feet into third would still be short. But you could,
It'd be 60 as opposed to.
Oh, I understand. So
like
he's got
80 something.
two lots that are 120 feet in the front. So together, you have 240 feet.
Sure.
And so he
three,
could
that's
presumably do 3 lots at
The
90
80,
feet.
the 80 would be a,
And there is some allowed variance up to 15% could be provided in-house without additional review.
so if the plan were to put 3 lots there, perfectly doable, don't even need to ask for permission.
Correct.
See how they can split that, because the frontage is only, like I said, mine's 176, just a few feet wider.
But based on
Well,
the
that's
number-
not the frontage.
Yeah.
We're not making the numbers up. right?
Yeah. It's 2 parcels there
It's 2 parcels.
in between.
You're talking about the back part.
no, we're talking about.
We're talking about the only thing that's before us today, which is the
Two
front.
parcels about 125 feet long. So you got about 250 feet total.
Which is 83 and a third frontage. If you do 3 instead of 4, which is within the variance, and no permission would be needed from the city. Am I correct about that?
Yes.
He's wanting to divide 250 feet into 4, which comes out to 60 something.
Which is a 32% variance, which requires it to come here. If it's 3, it will be within the variance that would not require any city approval, and you, as the landowner, could do whatever you want with your land. Is that a correct interpretation?
Yeah, so it's like 2.6 lots frontage there, so there would be a variance. I don't want to speak out of turn, that there might be a compatible variance depending on if it goes more than 15%.
My rough numbers are 83 and a third feet frontage, where 90 is
About,
required.
oh yeah, that would not require.
That would not require. So if you're 83.3, 83 and a third feet for 3 lots, it's not even a city matter.
So I have a question. And my question is, say, with my property, with 3.5 acres going back side, if I want to build a house behind my house, I have to get city approval to be able to build another house behind my house. And it has to be within their ordinance. Even if I get a shed to go back there behind my house, I have to get approval. I just can't go out there and put one on the back, in my backyard. So how is it that you can put 3 or 4 houses on this small property, which is going to be smaller than what my property would be?
When he says approval, he's meaning additional levels. They would still need an approval from the city. But what our restrictions are in low density residential, as long as you meet building code and put the structure at the correct location on the lot, if it's more than a third of an acre or has the 90 feet in the front, we don't have additional levels of approval. And so that's what he's referring to. But they would still require a permit. Yes.
But it still goes back to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And putting 4 houses.
I don't want to get too far off track, but I will say that the area that these locations are in was annexed in 1989, and a lot of the parcels were drawn out, and a lot of your homes are already existing when that annexation happened, and those zoning rules probably do not reflect what was existing, but just how they could be used after that annexation as part of the city. Just
at the end of the day, being our community, and like I said, we all want some people to have a place to go and to stay. But when you bring in 4 and 5 houses, putting them on these little lots, and you don't have none but a problem, I can step out of my door and touch him, you know. And I know that's the way the subdivisions are being done around us, like on Purnell Road and all those. But those are big houses, and every last one of them that going up in those subdivisions are big houses. So my thing is still, if they want to come in and build up the neighborhood, build them with 21 square feet, 2,100 square feet, instead of 15 and 1,200 square feet. Make the neighborhood look like all around you, instead of just building these little small houses and then putting 4 and 5 on these little lots. Like I said, is there gonna be a one-way in and a one-way out? Because it ain't no two-way out. You ain't got number one-way in, one-way out. If he put it right there where he wanted to on Fane Lane, that's a one-way in and a one-way out with one road. So you consider all of that.
We'll continue on with the committee session here. Anybody have any further comments on the proposal before? Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll move that we deny the variance.
What? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Move that we deny
Okay.
Second.
I'll second that we deny.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor to deny the proposal of the variance, please raise your right hand.
My hand's raised.
With regrets.
That's unanimous, so it is denied. Ms. Sabley, will you give them next steps?
Sure, so the same procedure would apply. If you would like to appeal, we could do so within 3 days. Just let me know when that's scheduled. If an appeal is registered by anyone, not only the applicant, then you all be notified as to when that appeal hearing would be held by City Council. Thank you all.
Well, thank you all for being here tonight and participating. We've got a few other items here to take care of, so thank you all for being here. Are there any applications for our next meeting in April?
No, not yet. If you all don't mind, we're not quite finished with our meeting. If you'll, you can sit or if you'll speak outside.
Do we have anything for next time?
Not yet.
When's the
Not
cutoff?
The cutoff would have been today.
So we won't have a meeting?
No meeting in April.
No meeting in April, probably.
Okay.
Cutoff was today.
Isn't it time to elect officers?
Is it probably like
Probably in our next work session. The cutoff is today and there are no applications.
We'll handle that later.
Yeah, let's, motion to adjourn.
That's looking good for May.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn, second. All in favor, right hand.